My beloved brothers and sisters, how many times have you sat alone with a heavy heart, feeling as though no one understands your pain, no one sees your struggle, and no one is standing up for you? You may smile in public, but inside you feel exhausted, overwhelmed, and forgotten. You begin to ask yourself, where is everyone? And sometimes, quietly, where is Allah? But let me remind you today, and let me remind myself first, that the moment you feel most alone are often the moments Allah is closest to you. When people walk away, when doors close, when voices fall silent, Allah does not leave. He does not abandon. He does not sleep. He does not overlook your tears that fall in the darkness of the night. You see, Allah is defending you in ways you cannot imagine. He is protecting you from conversations you never heard, from harm you never saw, from plans that would have broken you if they had succeeded. Sometimes Allah removes people not to punish you, but to protect you. Sometimes He allows silence around you so that you can finally hear Him. Do not think that your loneliness is proof of defeat. It may be proof that Allah is working for you, shaping you, strengthening you, and preparing something far greater than what you have lost. When you feel alone, remember this: if Allah is with you, you are never truly alone. There are moments in life when the heart feels unbearably heavy, when you look around and realize that the people you expected to stand by you are no longer there. The messages stop, the calls fade, and the warmth you once felt from others turns into distance. In those moments, a dangerous thought can creep into the mind: I must be abandoned. But this is where we must be very careful, because feeling alone does not mean you have been abandoned by Allah. Human beings measure presence through physical signs. We measure care through attention, loyalty through consistency, and love through visibility. But Allah's presence is not like the presence of people. Allah does not need to sit next to you for you to be protected. He does not need to speak audibly for you to be guided. He does not need to announce His help for it to reach you. Many times, Allah is most active in your life when you feel He is silent, when you feel alone. It is often because Allah has removed distractions, not because He has removed His mercy. People can sometimes become a veil between us and Allah. We begin to rely on them emotionally, spiritually, even subconsciously, more than we rely on our Creator. So Allah, out of love, allows that support to fall away so the heart can return to where it always belonged. Not as a punishment, but as a realignment. Think about it. When everything is going well, when people praise you, support you, stand by you, how often do you raise your hands with desperation? How often do you cry to Allah from the depths of your soul? Usually, it is when you are broken, when you are alone, when no one else is listening, that your dua becomes real, raw, and sincere. That loneliness pushes you toward Allah, not away from Him. Allah tells us that He is closer to us than our jugular vein. This closeness is not dependent on how many people surround you. You could be in a crowded room and still be spiritually alone. Or you could be physically alone and deeply connected to Allah. The presence of Allah is not felt through noise. It is felt through tranquility. And tranquility often comes after isolation. Sometimes Allah allows you to feel alone so you can discover your strength with Him. You begin to realize that even when no one checks on you, you are still breathing. Even when no one defends you, you are still standing. Even when no one understands you, your heart is still beating. Who is sustaining all of that? It is Allah. He has been holding you together all along. Feeling alone can also be Allah's way of protecting you from emotional dependency on creation. People change, hearts shift, circumstances alter, relationships. If your peace is tied to people, your peace will always be fragile. But when your peace is tied to Allah, it becomes unshakable. Allah wants you to reach a point where even if the whole world turns its back on you, your heart remains steady because it is anchored to Him. There are battles you fight silently that no one knows about. sleepless nights, private tears, internal struggles you never explain. And you may think, if Allah was with me, why would I feel this pain? But pain is not proof of abandonment. Pain is often proof of growth. Just as physical pain strengthens muscles, emotional and spiritual pain can strengthen the soul when it is endured with trust in Allah. Remember that Allah defended the prophets when they were alone. Some were rejected by their people, mocked, betrayed, and isolated. Yet Allah was always with them, guiding, protecting, and ultimately honoring them. Loneliness did not mean Allah had left them. It meant Allah was preparing something greater than what they could see at that moment. When you feel alone, remind yourself that Allah sees what people do not see. He hears what people ignore. He knows what you hide behind your smiles. And He is responding even if you do not recognize it yet. Some answers come as relief. Others come as patience. And some come as strength you never knew you had. So do not let loneliness convince you that Allah has abandoned you. Let it remind you that Allah is inviting you closer. Talk to Him. Cry to Him. Rely on Him. Because the truth is this, people may leave, but Allah never does. And when Allah is with you, even the loneliest moments are filled with purpose, protection, and unseen mercy. There are times when you look at your life and wonder why things unfolded the way they did. You trusted someone. You expected fairness. You believed that truth would prevail. Yet, you were wronged, misunderstood, or even betrayed. What makes it more painful is that you never got the chance to defend yourself. Your name was questioned, your intentions were doubted, and your heart was left carrying a burden no one else could see. In those moments, it may feel as though you are standing alone, exposed and unprotected. But this is precisely where a powerful reality must be understood. Allah's defense often happens silently and unseen. Human defense is loud. It comes with arguments, explanations, proofs, and emotional reactions. We want to clear our name immediately. We want others to hear our side. We want justice to arrive on our terms and in our time. But Allah's way is different. When Allah defends you, He does not always announce it. He does not always remove the pain instantly. Instead, He rearranges circumstances, changes hearts, blocks harm, and redirects outcomes in ways you may never realize. Sometimes, Allah defends you by removing you from a situation entirely. What you thought was a loss was actually protection. You may not have been able to see the full picture, but Allah saw where that path would lead. So He closed the door quietly. No explanation, no warning, just separation. And you were left confused, asking why. But years later, you look back and realize that if you had stayed, you would have been destroyed emotionally, spiritually, or even physically. That was Allah defending you. And other times, Allah defends you by remaining silent while others speak. This is one of the hardest tests for the believer. When accusations fly, and you know the truth, every part of you wants to respond. But Allah, in His wisdom, sometimes withholds your tongue so that He can speak through events. Lies may spread quickly, but it cannot stand forever. Allah allows time to expose what words cannot. And when the truth surfaces, it does so with a weight and clarity that no argument could ever achieve. There are also moments when Allah defends you by changing the hearts of people without you ever knowing. Someone who once intended harm may suddenly lose interest. Someone planning against you may be distracted. Someone speaking badly about you may be silenced by circumstances beyond their control. You may never hear the conversation that didn't happen. You may never know the harm that was diverted. But Allah knew, and Allah handled it. One of the most beautiful aspects of Allah's defense is that it is not limited by human limitation. People can only defend what they see and what they know. Allah defends you based on knowledge of the unseen. He knows intentions before actions. He knows outcomes before beginnings. He knows what would have happened if something had continued. That is why His defense often feels confusing in the moment, but perfect in hindsight. Allah's defense also strengthens your character. If every battle was fought publicly and every injustice was immediately corrected, the soul would not grow. Patience would not develop. Trust in Allah would remain shallow. But when you are forced to rely on Allah alone, when you have no one else to speak for you, your heart learns sincerity. Your dua becomes deeper. Your relationship with Allah becomes real, not theoretical. It is important to understand that silence does not mean inaction. Allah is never passive. While you are crying at night, Allah is arranging. While you are questioning, Allah is planning. While you are hurting, Allah is protecting. His defense may come as distance, delays, or even temporary losses, but it always carries wisdom. Many people only recognize Allah's defense when it is too late to thank Him properly. They look back and say, if only I had known what Allah was saving me from. That is why trust is essential. You may never see the full story in this life, but you must believe that Allah does nothing without purpose. If He allowed you to be misunderstood, it is because being understood by people was not necessary for your growth or your destination. So when you feel defenseless, remind yourself that you are not unprotected. You have handed your matter to the one who never fails. Allah does not need witnesses. He does not need proof. He does not need time. When Allah defends you, He does so with wisdom, mercy, and precision. And even if the world never knows what He did for you, your heart will eventually feel the peace of knowing that the best defender was always on your side. There comes a point in a person's life when the noise fades, the crowd thins out, and you are left face to face with your own heart. No distractions, no comforting voices, no easy escape. At first, this loneliness feels heavy, even frightening. You begin to wonder why Allah allowed you to reach such a place. But it is in these very moments that a deep truth unfolds. Moments of loneliness are often invitations to a deeper reliance on Allah. When everything else is stripped away, you begin to see clearly what you truly depend on. As long as people are around, as long as support is visible, the heart naturally leans on what it can touch and hear. This is human nature. But Allah wants the believer to reach a level where the heart leans first and foremost on Him. Loneliness, painful as it may be, removes the illusion of self-sufficiency and the false comfort of constant human support. In loneliness, dua changes. It is no longer rushed or routine. It becomes intimate. You speak to Allah, not with rehearsed words, but with honesty. You tell Him what you could never tell anyone else. You admit fears you hide from the world. You cry without worrying about being judged. That kind of dua builds a connection that cannot be shaken by circumstances. It is in isolation that the believer learns what it truly means to rely on Allah. Reliance on Allah does not mean the absence of effort. It means recognizing that effort alone is never enough. In loneliness, you may still work, plan, and strive. But your heart understands that outcomes are in Allah's hands. You begin to say, I have done what I can. Now I trust you. That trust brings a peace that no human reassurance can provide. Loneliness also teaches you sincerity. When no one is watching, intentions become clear. Are you doing this for praise or for Allah? Are you patient because people are applauding you, or because you believe Allah sees you? Acts of worship performed in solitude carry a special weight. A prayer prayed when no one is around, a tear shed only for Allah, a struggle endured silently, these shape the soul in powerful ways. Many people fear loneliness because it forces them to confront their weaknesses. But that confrontation is necessary for growth. When you rely on Allah, you learn that your weakness is not a flaw, it is a doorway. A doorway to humility, a doorway to dependence, a doorway to strength that does not come from ego, but from trust in Allah's power. In moments of loneliness, Allah often redirects your focus. You begin to notice blessings you once ignored. The ability to breathe, to reflect, to turn to Allah at any moment. You realize that even when people fail you, Allah never misses a single detail of your life. This awareness deepens gratitude, even in pain. Reliance on Allah also reshapes your expectations. You stop expecting people to complete you, to heal you, or to save you. You understand that people are means, not sources. They come and go by Allah's permission. When this understanding settles in the heart, relationships become healthier. You love people without clinging to them, appreciate them without depending on them, and let go without being destroyed. There is also a quiet strength that develops in loneliness. When you learn to stand with Allah alone, you are no longer easily shaken by rejection or abandonment. You carry a sense of stability that comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you are not facing life by yourself. This strength is not loud. It is calm, steady, and deeply rooted in faith. The believer who has learned reliance on Allah through loneliness walks through life differently. Hardships do not disappear, but they no longer define the person. Losses hurt, but they do not break the heart completely. There is always an underlying certainty that Allah is in control, that nothing is random, and that every moment carries wisdom, even if it is not immediately understood. So when loneliness visits your life, do not rush to escape it at any cost. Sit with it, reflect, turn to Allah fully. Because it may be Allah calling you closer, teaching you how to rely on Him in a way you never could when the world was loud and full. And once you learn that reliance, you will realize that what you feared was never a punishment, but a profound gift meant to elevate your faith and strengthen your heart. There are struggles you carry that no one else ever sees. You wake up each day functioning, fulfilling responsibilities, smiling when required. Yet inside there is a weight pressing on your heart. These are not the kinds of battles that leave visible scars. They are the quiet ones, the thoughts you fight at night, the fears you suppress during the day, the pain you hide so well that people assume you are strong and unbothered. And in those moments, you may wonder if anyone truly understands what you are going through. This is where a profound comfort lies. Allah knows the battles you never speak about. Allah's knowledge is not limited to what is spoken or displayed. He knows what settles in the depths of your heart before it ever reaches your tongue. He knows the hesitation before you speak, the tears you wipe away before anyone notices, the prayers you struggle to articulate because the pain is too complex for words. Nothing about you is hidden from Allah. Not your confusion, not your exhaustion, not your quiet resilience. Many people believe that if others cannot see their struggle, then it must not matter. But Allah does not measure pain by its visibility. A heart silently breaking is just as significant to Him as a wound that everyone can see. In fact, those hidden struggles often draw a believer closer to Allah because they leave no option but to turn inward and upward. When there is no audience, sincerity flourishes. There are times when you wish someone would ask, "Are you okay?" Not out of politeness, but with genuine concern. And when that question never comes, the heart feels even heavier. But Allah is asking, even when people are not. He is aware of every moment you felt overwhelmed but kept going. Every time you were on the verge of giving up but chose patience instead. Every instance where you held your tongue to avoid hurting someone else, even though you were hurting deeply yourself. Allah's awareness brings meaning to your silent endurance. Nothing you bear goes unnoticed. Every ounce of patience is recorded. Every moment of restraint is valued. Every quiet prayer whispered in exhaustion is heard. You may not receive immediate relief, but you are never ignored. Allah's timing is not a reflection of indifference, it is a reflection of wisdom. Sometimes Allah allows these hidden struggles to remain unseen so that your reward remains pure. When no one knows what you are enduring, there is no applause, no validation, no external comfort. Your patience becomes solely for Allah. And what is done purely for Allah carries immense weight. The believer learns to find contentment, not in recognition, but in knowing that Allah is pleased. These unspoken battles also shape your character in ways visible struggles often cannot. They teach empathy. When you know how it feels to suffer silently, You become gentler with others. You stop assuming that strength means the absence of pain. You learn that everyone is fighting something, even if they appear fine on the surface. This awareness softens the heart and deepens faith. At times, you may question why Allah does not remove these struggles immediately. But consider this. If every internal struggle vanished instantly, soul would not develop patience, humility, or reliance on Allah. Growth is rarely comfortable. Just as muscles strengthen through resistance, the heart strengthens through endurance. Allah knows how much you can bear, even when you feel you are at your limit. Allah's knowledge also means that He responds in ways you may not recognize right away. Relief does not always come as the removal of pain. Sometimes it comes as strength to carry it. Sometimes it comes as clarity. Sometimes it comes as peace in the midst of difficulty. And sometimes it comes later, in ways you only understand when you look back. So when you feel alone in your struggles, remind yourself that Allah is closer to you than anyone else could ever be. You do not need to explain yourself to Him. You do not need to justify your feelings. He knows. And that knowledge is not passive, it is compassionate, purposeful, and perfectly timed. Hold on to this certainty. The battles you never speak about are not meaningless. They are shaping you, purifying you, and drawing you nearer to Allah. And even if no one else ever understands what you went through, Allah does. And His understanding is more than enough to carry you through. Pain has a way of making life feel random and unfair. When hardship strikes, when plans fall apart, when people disappoint you or circumstances push you into corners you never expected to face, it is natural to ask, why is this happening to me? In those moments, pain can either harden the heart or transform it. And this is where a powerful truth comes into focus. Trusting Allah transforms pain into purpose. Trusting Allah does not mean pretending that pain does not exist. Islam never asks you to deny your emotions or suppress your tears. Even the most beloved servants of Allah felt sorrow, loss, and fear. Trust means that while you feel the pain, you do not lose faith in the one who allowed it. You acknowledge the hurt, but you believe that it carries meaning beyond what you can currently see. When pain enters your life, it often strips away comfort and certainty. The future becomes unclear. The heart feels unsettled. But this uncertainty is also where trust begins to grow. You start to realize that control was never truly in your hands. And instead of resisting that reality, you surrender it to Allah. This surrender is not weakness, it is strength. It frees the heart from carrying burdens it was never meant to hold. Trust in Allah changes how you interpret hardship. Instead of viewing pain as a dead end, you begin to see it as a turning point. Something within you starts to shift. You become more reflective, more patient, more aware of what truly matters. Pain has a way of realigning priorities. It pulls you away from distractions and forces you to confront what you value most: your faith, your character, your connection with Allah. There are lessons that comfort can never teach. Gratitude becomes deeper after loss. Humility becomes real after failure. Compassion grows after suffering. Trusting Allah allows these lessons to take root rather than turning pain into bitterness. You begin to ask not only why did this happen, but what is Allah teaching me through this? Purpose often emerges quietly. You may not recognize it while you are hurting. It may come later, when you find yourself able to support someone else through a similar struggle. It may appear in the strength you developed, the wisdom you gained, or the clarity you now possess. Allah uses your pain not only to shape you, but sometimes to make you a source of healing for others. Trust also brings patience. And patience opens doors you never imagined. Allah promises that with hardship comes ease. But that ease does not always arrive in the form we expect. Sometimes the ease is emotional stability. Sometimes it is spiritual depth. Sometimes it is protection from future harm. When you trust Allah, You stop demanding immediate relief and start believing in long-term wisdom. One of the most difficult aspects of pain is the feeling that it is wasted, that you suffered for nothing. But nothing endured with faith is ever wasted. Every tear shed in patience is counted. Every moment you chose not to give up is recorded. Every time you turn to Allah instead of turning bitter, your rank was elevated. Trust ensures that pain does not remain meaningless. It becomes an investment in your akhirah and a refinement of your soul. Trusting Allah also frees you from resentment. When you believe that Allah is just, you stop replaying events with anger and regret. You stop blaming yourself endlessly or holding on to bitterness toward others. You understand that what missed you was never meant for you, and what reached you did so with purpose. This acceptance brings peace even when the heart still aches. Over time, you begin to see that the pain you once feared became the reason you grew. The hardship you thought would break you became the source of your strength. The chapter you wished away became the foundation of your resilience, and you realize that Allah did not take something away without planning, to give you something better, if not in this life, then in the next. So when pain visits your life, do not let it convince you that Allah has abandoned you. Let it draw you closer to Him. Trust Him with what you do not understand. Place your heart in His care, because when pain is met with trust in Allah, it does not destroy you. It shapes you, elevates you, and fills your life with purpose far greater than the pain itself.